Uh, Underage children shouldn't be putting anything in their lungs. Pot smoke or cigarette smoke or any other kind of smoke, if they can help it, it's not good.
Can you believe it? At 92 years old, Willie Nelson just proved to the world that age is nothing but a number. While most people his age are sitting on their front porches watching the world go by, this country music legend is still out there making headlines, breaking hearts with his beautiful voice, and showing everyone what it really means to never give up on your dreams. Just last week, something absolutely incredible happened that has the entire music world talking. Farm Aid 40 took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and guess who was the star of the show? That's right, our beloved Willie Nelson. But here's the thing that's got everyone's jaws dropping: this wasn't just any ordinary performance. This was a moment that reminded us all why Willie Nelson isn't just a musician, he's a living, breathing piece of American history. Picture this scene with me for a moment. It's September 20th, 2025, and over 36,000 fans have gathered at the Huntington Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. The energy in the air is electric, and everyone is waiting to see if the 92-year-old legend can still deliver the magic that made him famous decades ago. The lights dim, and there he is, Willie Nelson, seated on stage with his sons Lucas and Micah right beside him, ready to prove that passion doesn't fade with age. The moment he started playing those opening chords of Whiskey River, something special happened. The entire stadium fell silent, and then erupted into cheers that could probably be heard all the way back to Texas. Here was a man who has been performing for more than 70 years, and he was still giving his fans goosebumps with every single note. But let me tell you what makes this story even more amazing. Just a few months ago, people were worried sick about Willie's health. Earlier this year, he had to cancel several shows on his Outlaw Music Festival tour because doctors told him he needed to rest. Fans were scared, wondering if they would ever see their hero perform again. Social media was filled with worried messages and people sharing their favorite Willie Nelson memories, afraid they might be the last ones. The health scare wasn't just some minor inconvenience either. Willie had to cancel the first 7 shows of what was supposed to be a major tour. His team was very quiet about the details, only saying that doctors had given strict orders for him to rest. Instead of Willie taking the stage, his son Lucas stepped in to perform, carrying on the family tradition while his father recovered. Can you imagine how that must have felt for Willie? This is a man who has spent his entire life on the road, traveling from city to city, sharing his music with anyone who would listen. Being told he couldn't perform must have been one of the hardest things he's ever had to deal with. But here's what makes Willie Nelson so special: he didn't give up. He didn't throw in the towel and decide that maybe it was time to retire. During those difficult months, Willie's fans showed just how much they love him. Messages of support poured in from all over the world. People shared stories about how his music had gotten them through tough times, how his songs had been the soundtrack to their lives, and how much his voice meant to them. It was like a giant love letter from the world to one of the most beloved musicians of all time.
Then came July, and more challenges hit. The weather decided to throw Willie another curveball. During one of his scheduled Outlaw Music Festival performances, an extreme weather event brought heavy rains and high winds that were so bad the crowd had to be evacuated for their safety. The storm was so fierce that much of the festival's equipment and the artists' instruments got damaged and waterlogged. Once again, Willie had to cancel a show, but this time it wasn't because of his health, it was because Mother Nature had other plans. You might think that all these setbacks would discourage someone who's 92 years old. Most people would probably say, "That's it. I've had enough signs telling me to slow down." But not Willie Nelson. This man has faced challenges his entire life, and he's never been one to back down from a fight. Throughout all of this, Willie kept his sense of humor and his determination. When rumors started flying around the internet that he was seriously ill or even close to death, do you know what he did? He took to social media with a message that was pure Willie Nelson. He basically told everyone to stop worrying and said he'd see them at his 4th of July picnic. That's the spirit that has kept him going for 9 decades. The road to Farm Aid 40 wasn't easy, but it became a symbol of hope and perseverance. Willie Nelson, along with his longtime friends Neil Young, John Mellencamp, and surprise guest Bob Dylan, was determined to make this 40th anniversary of Farm Aid something truly special. These aren't just musicians. They're activists who have spent decades fighting for family farmers and rural communities across America. Farm Aid started back in 1985 when Willie Nelson saw how much American farmers were struggling. He didn't just sit back and feel sorry for them. He decided to do something about it. Along with Neil Young and John Mellencamp, he organized a benefit concert to raise money and awareness for family farmers who were losing their land and their way of life. 40 years later, that single concert has grown into a movement that has raised over $60 million to help farming families. What makes this story even more incredible is that Willie Nelson has been the driving force behind Farm Aid for all these years. While other celebrities might show up for a photo opportunity or write a check, Willie has been hands-on, making sure that every dollar raised goes to help the people who grow our food. He's traveled to farms, met with families who are struggling, and used his fame to shine a light on issues that many people never think about. So when Farm Aid 40 rolled around, it wasn't just another concert. It was a celebration of 4 decades of making a difference, and it was proof that Willie Nelson's heart is just as strong as his voice. Despite all the health scares and weather-related cancellations earlier in the year, Willie was determined to be there for the farmers and the fans who have supported him for so many years. The performance itself was absolutely magical. Picture Willie Nelson, sitting on stage because standing for long periods isn't as easy as it used to be, but his voice still carrying all the warmth and wisdom that has made him a legend. He performed classics like On the Road Again and Georgia on My Mind, songs that have been the soundtrack to millions of people's lives for decades. One of the most touching moments of the evening was when Willie duetted with Hawaiian singer Lily Miola on Will You Remember Me? The question in that song seemed to take on a deeper meaning, as if Willie was asking his fans if they would remember not just his music, but everything he had stood for throughout his career. The support for farmers, the fight for what's right, and the belief that music can change the world. Then there was the moment that brought tears to many people's eyes. Willie and his son Lucas performed Pearl Jam's Just Breathe together, trading lines back and forth in a way that transformed the song into something completely new. A conversation between father and son, a passing of the torch, and a celebration of the love that binds families together. It was a reminder that Willie Nelson isn't just a country music star. He's a father, a grandfather, and a man who values family above everything else. The fact that both Lucas and Micah Nelson were on stage with their father made the performance even more special. These aren't just Willie's sons. They're accomplished musicians in their own right who have been carrying on the family tradition while supporting their father during his more challenging moments. Seeing 3 generations of the Nelson family on stage together was a powerful reminder that music, like love, gets passed down from one generation to the next. Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota was there to witness this historic performance, and his description of Willie Nelson perfectly captured what makes this man so special. He called Willie fiercely independent, generous, kind, irreverent, decent, and a bit of a hellraiser. That's Willie Nelson in a nutshell. Someone who has never been afraid to speak his mind, stand up for what he believes in, and live life on his own terms. At 92 years old, Willie Nelson is still that hellraiser, still fighting for causes he believes in, and still making music that touches people's souls. The fact that he was scheduled to perform until almost midnight at Farm Aid 40 shows that his passion for music and his dedication to his fans hasn't diminished one bit with age. But Willie's recent headlines aren't just about one incredible performance. They're about something much bigger than that. They're about resilience, determination, and the power of never giving up on the things that matter most to you. In a world where people are constantly being told they're too old, too slow, or too set in their ways to make a difference, Willie Nelson is living proof that age doesn't have to define your limitations. Think about what Willie has accomplished just this year. Despite health scares that would have sidelined most people, despite weather disasters that destroyed equipment and forced cancellations, despite being 92 years old in an industry that often worships youth, Willie Nelson is still out there making headlines for all the right reasons. The Outlaw Music Festival that he had to miss earlier in the year wasn't just any tour. It was a celebration of the outlaw country movement that Willie helped create back in the 1970s. This was a movement that rejected the polished, commercial sound that was taking over country music and instead embraced a more authentic, raw style that spoke to real people about real problems. Willie, along with artists like Waylon Jennings, Chris Christopherson, and Johnny Cash, changed country music forever by refusing to compromise their artistic vision. The fact that Willie is still touring with the Outlaw Music Festival in his 90s is a testament to his commitment to that original vision. He's not just performing his old hits, he's continuing to champion the idea that music should be honest, authentic, and meaningful. Every time he steps on stage, he's reminding the world that real artistry doesn't have an expiration date. The weather incident that damaged the festival equipment could have been the perfect excuse for Willie to call it quits. After all, who would blame a 92-year-old for deciding that dealing with extreme weather events and damaged instruments is too much trouble? But instead of seeing it as a sign to slow down, Willie saw it as just another obstacle to overcome. This attitude isn't new for Willie Nelson. Throughout his career, he's faced bankruptcy, tax problems, personal struggles, and countless other challenges that could have ended his career. But every time life knocked him down, he got back up, dusted himself off, and kept making music. His recent health scares and the weather-related cancellations are just the latest chapters in a long story of perseverance and determination. What makes Willie's story even more inspiring is that he's not just surviving, he's thriving. The performance at Farm Aid 40 wasn't just a nostalgic trip down memory lane. It was a reminder that Willie Nelson is still creating new memories, still touching hearts, and still making a difference in the world. The partnership with artists like Bob Dylan, Neil Young, and John Mellencamp at Farm Aid shows that Willie Nelson isn't just a solo act trying to recapture past glory. He's part of a community of artists who understand that music has the power to change the world, and that responsibility doesn't end when you reach a certain age. These legendary musicians are still working together, still supporting causes too. They believe in and still proving that experience and wisdom are just as valuable as youth and energy. The impact of Farm Aid over the past 40 years is staggering. $60 million raised for family farmers might seem like just a number, but behind every dollar is a family that was able to keep their farm, a community that was able to stay together, or a way of life that was preserved for future generations. Willie Nelson didn't just organize a concert. He started a movement that has had real, measurable impact on the lives of real people. This is what sets Willie Nelson apart from many other celebrities who lend their names to causes. He didn't just show up for the photo opportunities. He didn't just write a check and move on to the next cause. He made Farm Aid his life's work, spending 40 years building it into something that has made a genuine difference in the world. The recent headlines about Willie Nelson are breaking news not just because of his age or his health scares, but because they represent something that's becoming increasingly rare in our fast-paced, disposable culture: commitment, consistency, and the belief that some things are worth fighting for no matter how old you get or how many obstacles you face. Willie Nelson's story is a reminder that retirement doesn't have to mean the end of your impact on the world. At 92, he's still touring, still recording, still supporting causes he believes in, and still inspiring people who are a fraction of his age. He's showing us that passion doesn't have an expiration date, and that the most meaningful parts of our lives might come long after we thought our best years were behind us. The headlines about Willie Nelson aren't just entertainment news. They're a masterclass in how to live a life that matters. They're proof that success isn't just about what you accomplish when you're young and healthy and everything is going your way. Real success is about what you do when life gets tough, when your health isn't perfect, when the weather doesn't cooperate, and when everyone expects you to slow down. Willie Nelson is still making headlines because he refuses to accept that his story is over. At 92, he's still writing new chapters, still creating new memories, and still proving that the best is yet to come. In a world that often seems divided and hopeless, Willie Nelson is a reminder that music can bring people together, that 1PE, Racing can make a difference, and that it's never too late to fight for what you believe in. So the next time you think you're too old to chase your dreams, too tired to make a difference, or too set in your ways to try something new, remember Willie Nelson. remember that at 92, he's still rocking stages, still fighting for farmers, and still proving that the only limitations we have are the ones we place on ourselves. The latest headlines about Willie Nelson aren't just breaking news. They're breaking barriers, breaking stereotypes, and breaking hearts in the most beautiful way possible. They're reminding us that legends aren't just made. They're sustained through decades of dedication, perseverance, and the unwavering belief that music can change the world. If this incredible story of resilience, passion, and never giving up inspired you as much as it inspired me, make sure you hit that like button to show your support for Willie Nelson and everything he represents. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to make a difference. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories about the legends who continue to shape our world. Willie Nelson is proof that the best stories never really end. They just keep getting better with age.